Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel, Tiapa. For years, the giants of technology like Apple, Google, and Microsoft had an unspoken truce, each ruling their own empire. But the explosion of AI has shattered that peace. In today's video, we're diving deep into this new tech war. We'll break down the strategies, expose the vulnerabilities, and try to figure out who has the edge in the battle for the future. For the last 2 decades, the giants of tech seemed to have a deal. They had carved up the market and stayed in their own lanes, avoiding direct conflict. Think about it. Google was the undisputed king of search and information. Microsoft owned the office, dominating the corporate world with its software and operating system. And Apple? They had their famous walled garden, a premium ecosystem of the most desired gadgets, giving them access to 1 billion loyal customers. These 3 giants had divided the world. It seemed like this balance would last forever. But then, in late 2022, AI crashed the party. And everything changed. This wasn't just a new piece of tech. It was an earthquake that shattered the old business models. Suddenly, the old rulebook was thrown out the window. The sleeping giants were forced to wake up and act. In this new game, there's no balance. There's only expansion, and that means they're destined to collide. In fact, they already are. Just look at the recent news. Apple is in talks with OpenAI to build its AI right into the Safari browser. Now, why is this such a big deal? Because it's a direct shot at Google. Right now, Google pays Apple around $20 billion a year to be the default search engine in Safari. An OpenAI deal could blow that up. But believe me, this story is just the tip of the iceberg. It reveals the huge strategic conflicts that will define the future of these companies. So, let's look at the players as we head into this new era. Google was the king, the hegemon of information. Their dominance seemed unshakable, and while they have their own powerful AI, they now have the most to lose. Microsoft, the old giant, didn't have its own breakthrough AI, but they made a brilliant move by partnering with OpenAI. This has given them incredible power to transform their products and, more importantly, to expand their territory. Apple, after Steve Jobs, was no longer the leader in innovation. But Jobs' legacy gave them something priceless: control over a billion-user ecosystem. They slept through the AI revolution and are now the giant playing catch-up. And their need to catch up is what's causing this conflict. And then there's OpenAI, a small company holding the one thing these giants need like air: a powerful, game-changing AI. This makes them the key player on the entire board. The logic is simple. Apple wants AI in the iPhone. It's an obvious and necessary step. This demand created an opportunity, and Microsoft and OpenAI were the first to answer the call. Why? Because Apple's billion users are the ultimate prize. But OpenAI, on its own, can't build the massive infrastructure needed to replace Google for Apple. We're talking about data centers worth tens, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars. But Microsoft can. So in this attack on Google's territory, OpenAI and Microsoft are clearly working together. For Microsoft, it's a golden opportunity to capture a massive new market. For Google, it's a devastating loss of their home turf. And Apple? By being behind in the AI race, they've masterfully flipped the board. They've turned their weakness into a strength, pitting Google and Microsoft against each other, while they sit in the most powerful position, above the fray. So, it looks like a clear win for Microsoft, right? The market certainly thinks so. Microsoft's stock is hitting new highs, while Apple and Google are lagging. But I believe it's not that simple. The market might be getting it wrong. First, and most importantly, the deal isn't final. Apple holds all the cards. And here's the crucial detail from their announcement: ChatGPT will not be the default AI assistant in iOS. It's an optional plugin. For most tasks, Apple will use its own local AI models. Only when a task is too complex will Siri politely ask, "Would you like me to pass this request to ChatGPT?" That is not a full integration. With this structure, Apple gets AI capabilities without locking themselves into one partner. For Apple, this is the only logical move. They have no reason to hand over their kingdom to Microsoft and OpenAI. They would much rather be a marketplace for different ICE. Because in that scenario, Apple is the one in charge. In fact, one of Apple's top executives, Craig Federighi, said it himself. They're starting with ChatGPT because it's one of the best right now. But their system, Apple Intelligence, is designed to support different models in the future. He even directly mentioned that they look forward to integrating other models, like Google's Gemini, in the future. So, talk of a Microsoft victory is very, very premature. Let's be real. Apple's endgame isn't to rely on someone else's technology. They want their own powerful AI. And if, or when, they achieve that, the iOS market will belong to Apple and Apple alone. But even before they get there, their partnership with OpenAI could become a new nightmare for Microsoft. And here's why. Microsoft doesn't own OpenAI. They're just partners. So what's to stop Apple from seeking its own, equally deep partnership with OpenAI? Imagine a world where OpenAI has two giant, equal backers. Suddenly, Apple and Microsoft would become direct rivals, fighting for influence over the world's most important AI company. That would put OpenAI in the incredible position of being the arbiter between two titans. And while that power play is happening, don't forget about Google. They've just been attacked on their home turf. The old boundaries are gone. What's to stop Google from using their incredible AI, Gemini, to build a competitor to Microsoft Windows? Or an AI-powered suite of Office tools to challenge Excel and Word? The answer is nothing. So, where does this leave us? The tech world is a long way from a new balance of power. We are about to witness incredible battles, new alliances, and maybe even a few betrayals. It's far too early to pick the winners. But here's the most important thing. After all the corporate strategies and boardroom battles, the final word belongs to the technology itself, and to us, the consumers. We will be the ones to choose the AI that provides the most value. And perhaps the biggest prize isn't just about fighting over the markets we have today. As I've said before, the ultimate victor will be the one who creates something fundamentally new, a product that builds an entirely new market we can't even imagine yet. As this is the very first video on my channel, your support would mean the world to me. I have a lot more content like this planned for the future. So, if you found this interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Thanks for watching.